Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. We're back with a Sunday night panel and we've got some big news to start off with about Ruben Neves, but lots to talk about tonight. We're going to be talking about a preferred starting lineup for Leeds, what we should do with Pogba, the midfield situation, how prepared we are for the new season, where we stand on Ollie. And one of the reasons we're going to talk about that is Adam did a vlog for us last week. He's back on the Sunday show. How you doing, Adam?
I'm all right, mate. I'm good. Hope you boys are all well.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing where you sit on Solskjaer. I've also got Jay and Kev. How you doing, Jay?
Great, thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, and Kev, how you doing? Boy from the early 90s? You don't look like you're from the early 90s. These tops aren't going to make you look 20 years younger, mate.
Well, mate, you got to try something, haven't you? Listen, live from Old Trafford here. If Varane should walk out behind me, we'll get the exclusive for the United Stand. So that's why I'm here at the minute anyway, until I get thrown out.
What you're wearing, I'm more likely to see Bruce and Pallister walk out, you know. It's like a flashback.
That's a lot.
But look, talk about flashback, talk about new signings. Let's fly straight into it. This has caused a lot of upset since the video was set up half an hour ago. Where's this lie coming from? This Ruben Neves setback? Well, you know what? If you actually look in the news, you'll find out where it's coming from, because Ruben Neves has played a pre-season game, and after the game, he spoke to Wolves TV and he said he's very excited about the new season with their new manager. He spoke over the summer with players that he knew who played under this manager from Benfica. Clearly, he's a good manager, and he said when everything clicks, we're going to be a very hard team to beat next season. Not speaking like a man that's looking for a move, not speaking like a man that is desperate to force a move to Manchester United. So the first question I'll ask you, Jay, on this one. On the midfield situation, lots of fans talking about Ruben Neves. Would it disappoint you if Ruben Neves is no longer a realistic target for Manchester United?
Well, first and foremost, Mark, Neves has to say that in the media. Obviously he's very loyal to the Wolves fan base. He can't come out and say in the media, yeah, listen, lads, it's been lovely being here, but, I'm looking for a move. So he's got to put a positive spin on things and big up the incoming manager. And he has no choice. It's football politics. If we don't get him, would I be heartbroken? I wouldn't say heartbroken, but any CDM we get in, I don't want Ole to be given the opportunity to come out with his normal line that, oh, he's doing well in training, we'll see how he develops. Ruben Neves is Premiership proven, playing in a very defensive Wolves for the last couple of seasons. He captained Porto at 18. What is he now, 24? It's like he's been around for 10 years. So for me right now, we need to sign a CDM that can come in and literally knock McFred where they belong, which is on the bench. They're bench players at best, and come in and marshal that midfield for us. Would I be annoyed if we didn't get him? Probably not. But if option B is that we continue with McFred, then I'll be very annoyed. Obviously, we're heavily linked to Sao Niguez presently, but the jury is out in Sao Niguez. Last season, he wasn't exactly putting up trees. Now, a lot of that was because Sao Niguez did suffer from some kidney problems. And the question that I would pose to you guys and everybody in the free chat, why are Atletico prepared to let him go for so little money?
Yeah, interesting. Adam, your situation on the midfield. Ruben Neves has been mentioned a lot by a lot of people on this channel and across social media as being a really good option for Manchester United. Maybe the holding midfielder, certainly better than McTominay and Fred. Where do you sit on the midfield situation with United now that Varane and Sancho's come in, and the suitability of a Neves or a Niguez, like Jay says, or Camavinga?
It pains me, mate. It really pains me, this midfielder. I've been saying it for about 3 years, the holding midfielder. It's a position on its own, and you need best in class for that position more than probably half the other positions on the pitch. I mean, look at all the best teams in the world. They've all got the best in class in that position. Neves, I've had the privilege. I mean, it wasn't a privilege because every time United played Wolves recently, it's stunk the place out. It's the worst game in Premier League football. But I've seen Neves up close and personal. He's a little nasty swine as well. He has got a bit about him. He likes to tackle, but one thing he can do is take that ball in tight situations. He's strong and he can use it. And that's what we haven't got right now. Yeah, we've got players that can break up play. We've got players that can do half the job. We haven't got someone who can do that next bit, which is give the freedom to a Paul Pogba or someone like that. Someone who doesn't someone who can stop Paul Pogba coming back deeper or move out of position to try and get hold of the ball. Basically, our ball-playing players moving out of position just to try and get in the game because our backline and our holding midfield can't get the ball to them. The balance in our team would be on a different level if we bought a decent holding midfield player. Neves, for me, I've liked Neves from the first time I watched him. Stagnated last season like all of Wolves did. The manager was leaving. They probably all knew that was going down. They lost the best players. So when you've got a player like Neves and his qualities who can pass the ball forward and find the players like a Jota, like a Jimenez, who he didn't have towards the back end of last season, then his game is going to look a bit shabby as well, because unless you've got quality to pass to who's on the same wavelength, then you don't look as good. For me, I think he's ideal for us. Yeah, Premier League proven. At the top level, not quite so, but until these players are given a chance, you're never going to know. And for that price, that's why I would go in for Neves, personally. I do rate him. I do think he has got the qualities and the potential to be a good player at Man United. And for me, I just think he's just that next bit that we need, the next piece in the jigsaw puzzle. I'm not confident we are going to get him. I think we might possibly be done this summer, but I do think that area of the pitch is the only thing that's holding us back, or is going to stop us challenging the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea this season. The rest of the team, I can't really complain with what we've done this summer. I really can't. But that central midfield is really going to be the issue for us this season again. That's just how I'm looking at it now. We just needed that one more.
Yeah. I agree. And Kev, just talking about that, I think we've spoke about this on previous weeks, the need for a midfielder. Where's your head at the moment? Where's your head at? Is it Ruben Neves, Camavinga, who's 18? Maybe even a Declan Rice. I mean, Adam mentioned it there. I'm a little bit concerned myself. I feel this is, after a good transfer window, I feel as if we're wandering back into the whole, we need to sell to buy. It's a little bit like a decade ago where there's no value in the market. We're talking about a midfielder to keep us happy, but I'm a little bit worried about it. Where's your head at with this at the moment, and what we should be going for?
Neves appeals to me because he's done it in the Premier League. You mentioned Camavinga would be, for me, long-term going into what Manchester United want to do. I keep reiterating the point that for me, Varane signing for Manchester United has just broken up Fred and McTominay. So to me, that is a massive thing, because you do not now need that, them two holding midfielders to basically sit in there and babysit what we would always say was the weak link in the team was Lindelof for me. Varane's not been signed to be sat around. He's won the World Cup. He's won everything. So he's coming into Manchester United to partner Harry Maguire for me. I said it last week. Harry Maguire has played brilliantly for England because he has John Stones next to him. It's not rocket science. If you've got a decent partnership at the back, they will work well. So, listen, Neves would be a great signing. And for me, the final piece of the jigsaw is getting a central defensive midfielder. And when I say that this breaks up the McTominay Fred thing, the main thing that Solskjaer has to get, for me now, the big one, is the Paul Pogba situation. He handled it well last season when Raiola spouted all this shit, coming out and saying he's going, this, that, he wants to leave. He really needs now to know where Paul Pogba's at. Paul Pogba could be a massive part of Manchester United, but the longer he leaves it, the longer he flirts with this idea of, yeah, I'm going to sign the contract, but I'm not going to sign it now. I'm going to wait. The longer that ticks on, the longer, we get into the territory that we're going to lose Paul Pogba and he will go to PSG or Real Madrid. He could be part of this midfield. Hopefully, the signings of Sancho, Varane, inspiring Paul Pogba to say, well, do you know what? I want to stay here because there's a title challenge on. And I do feel that by the fact that United have signed Sancho. Massive statement of intent, and we've not seen this, right? This transfer window, you go back years ago, we never get the targets that we want. It's painful to see. You will see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saying, go and get me such and such a player. No, you know, and we're getting the third or fourth sort of target or whatever, and it's not good enough for Manchester United. The same is to be said about the people now that are like, oh, the Glazers, fair play to them, spending money. No, that's bollocks. We should have been doing this and progressing and improving our squad year on year. We've not done it. We've fallen behind, and that's what happens. Now, gradually sort of just getting back to there. So that's what Manchester United have to do.
It's a great point. I was on about this morning, because if you say that Sancho's come in and it's a great signing, which it is, it should have happened last year. We were also meant to get a centre-back last year as well. For me, if City go and get Grealish and they go and get Kane, and Chelsea get a couple of players, then we're only in the same position. We'll go back round. Good of Kev to bring Pogba in, because I wanted to bring that in. What's your well, I said this morning we'd talk about this anyway, lads. So what's your stance, Adam, on Pogba? He could run his contract down. We could sell him this month, or we could let him go into next season and try and get him to sign a contract. We obviously know Mino Raiola is his agent. What's your opinion? Because everyone's got a different opinion on what's the right thing to do with Paul Pogba.
Yeah, first of all, I think we have to look at this. I think Kev just touched on it there by saying, look, this new setup that we've got, the new directors of football, a new way of dealing with things, which is right this summer. We have started the summer really well. We're acting like a Manchester United this summer, how we should be. I do think that the Pogba situation was brought on by the catastrophe of Ed Woodward and whoever he was working alongside years ago. The last 7 years, we're just playing catch up with right now, like Kev said then. The Pogba situation should have been sorted 2 years ago. And right now, this new setup that we've got inside behind the scenes that United is having to deal with this, they're just being thrown right in on this. So I think we should just ease off a little bit on that. It's not all their fault. They're doing what they can. And for me, Paul Pogba, he's a player that you want to build a team around. He's a player that will win you trophies. It's as simple as that. In his position, there's no one else in the world right now like Paul Pogba. So if he goes, what do you bring in? It's going to be a different type of player. You've got one there right now who you could build a team around, in my opinion. Varane coming in, Sancho coming in. This is the sort of thing that he's been asking for. So you can't really ask much more of United this summer, only this summer, to do anything to sort of appease Pogba anymore. It's Pogba and his team, his entourage, his agent. That's what it is. It's not Paul Pogba. It's the whole thing that comes with him that winds everybody up. The problem you've got now is, though, it's like that whole midfield situation again. Now you've brought Sancho in. I don't see Pogba being able to... You're not going to be able to shoehorn Pogba into that front four anymore. There's too many players there. Greenwood, Rashford, Martial, Cavani, James even. There's too many. So Pogba, for me now, needs to be central. So this is where this whole debate, whether if we buy a midfielder, if Pogba leaves or not. And then the whole debate about the situation, the formations changing and whatnot, if Pogba stays or goes. Pogba has to be playing in the middle, but he needs the right man next to him. This is that piece of the puzzle again. If Pogba goes, I can see our style changing a little bit. That's how I see it. I don't see Pogba playing further up the pitch anymore, not with who we've got up there. He has to be in the middle of the park. And we're already swamped in that area somehow, but we still haven't got one combination that works for us with that many midfielders. So you either say to Pogba, look, this is what we're doing now. We've got the players in front of you. We've got the players behind you. We're going to make this team a work around you, and we're going to play this way. If he doesn't want that, then he goes. It's as simple as that for me. He goes. United will offer him better than ways than anyone else, probably. It's all about keeping face business-wise with United as well, though, because they don't want to be seen to be the team that let Paul Pogba go twice on a free transfer. So they're stuck in a really awkward position right now, the football club. Business-wise, I can see the argument. Team-wise, I can see it as well. Either way, for me, he goes, we move on. If he stays, good. That sends out a massive signal for me. It really does. If Pogba stays and signs, then United should be challenging for the title. It's as simple as that.
Do you not think, can I just throw this out here, right? Is this not the stage now where Paul Pogba, I'm not going to say grows a pair, but at least comes out and says what he wants to. Because for me, it has been so long in the making, this of Raiola literally has Pogba on strings. The fact that after, you know, before that game in the Champions League, massive game, he drops that bombshell, which we did not need that evening. And for me, the fact that Paul Pogba doesn't come out, you know, and quash these rumours, he's never said anything about Raiola, you know, where he goes, no, he was out of order, they're not my thoughts. So in a way, it's almost like, well, they are his thoughts. You know, Raiola is basically throwing out into the press what Paul Pogba's thinking. I
personally think the landscape has changed. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I think the landscape's changed. I think back at Christmas, you look at the world and you're thinking Raiola's gobbing off, thinking Real Madrid, PSG, Juventus, I've got options. And I think now you look at the world, you look at that collapse of the Super League, which was massive, and you think maybe Pogba doesn't know what he wants. Maybe actually he just wants to wait a year to see where the land lies. And that might not suit us, but I think Man United's future is brighter than Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona at the moment. Those are and funnily enough, they're the three clubs who are clinging on to the Super League because they need the money. So Chelsea and Liverpool and Man City, I mean, realistically, United can blow them out of the water for wages anyway. So I think, I mean, well, let's go to you, Jay, because you've not had your chance. I mean, where are you sitting on Pogba? And, you know, it's not just about what we think about Pogba. If United say we want to sell you, he doesn't have to be sold. He can say, I'm going to stay here. I'm waiting a year. You know, you can't force a player to be sold. He has the power.
Yeah, in point, guys, I agree with what each and every one of you have said. But the fact remains, Paul Pogba is here now 5 years. Have we ever had a player in the history of the club that has divided the fan base as much as Paul Pogba? I'm sick of dead of hearing his world-class news day. In 5 years, how many world-class days have we seen? You just see now to the free seats. How many of you think over 5 years, how many times did you see the Paul Pogba that we paid 90 million for? The Paul Pogba that's putting up treats for France every time he goes to World Cup or European Championship. And to Kevin's point, yeah, Raiola doesn't say anything without Paul Pogba's okay. Let's be fair. He's his agent, he's his spokesman, and Paul Pogba has yet to come out in the media and say, listen, Mino was out of line there. That's not what I meant. That's not what I said. Last couple of years, every time Pogba's gone off on an international trip with France, obviously he's got to do media for the French team. And nearly every press conference he's done, apart from January onwards this year, he's almost been giving out his little tidbits in the media that he's not happy at the club. He's almost looking for the next project, the bigger picture. Well, I believe in a pre-COVID world, as in summer 2020, had COVID not happened, I believe Pogba would have gone to Real Madrid or Juventus when they had money. Pogba is here by virtue of circumstance, because right now, no other club, possibly apart from PSG, can afford a transfer fee plus the extortionate wages. And the very fact that the club are dangling, if we're to believe, £400,000 per week of a contract under his nose just to keep him, that absolutely obliterates our pay structure. Does that mean then arbitrarily next season, hypothetically, we sign a Haaland? Does that mean then Haaland gets 450? So I think the money that Pogba has been offered to stay, he's only going to stay for the money. He's not staying because of the love of the club or he wants to play with Bruno Fernandes or Varane. And for me, he'd be staying because the money is so great. Let's be fair. There's no player playing for our club that already is not a millionaire. Let's be fair, guys. They're all very well paid. More money than you or I or anybody watching can ever dream of. We saw a decent Paul Pogba in 2018 when Herrera was beside him and we still had a prime Matic. Now, again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Since we sold Herrera and Matic legs have gone, yeah, we haven't seen the best of Paul Pogba. And Solskjaer went on record numerous times by saying he won't play in the pivot because, quote unquote, Paul doesn't have the energy. Okay, that's Solskjaer's own words. Therefore, he shoehorned out into the left, which, to be fair, this season, he did okay out in the left, but that's not his spot. So he's been played beside McTominay in the pivot. He's been played beside McFred. None of it works. So I just kind of put this out there, guys. Over the last 5 years, whom has had a bigger impact in a club, a Paul Pogba or in a short time here, Bruno Fernandes. So why should Paul Pogba command €400,000 per week and Bruno Fernandes be on a fraction of that, who has given his heart to the club and played with his heart in his sleeve? Again, I'm playing devil's advocate. So the club now is in a spot where, are they keeping Paul Pogba because it's Paul Pogba the player, or is it because it's Paul Pogba the brand? Because he's worth so much to the club for social media clicks, likes, and engagements. Plus, obviously, the massive deal with Adidas. It's a question to be asked. I personally don't believe he's worth that kind of money. I don't. And obviously, from a business perspective, the worst case scenario for the club, they're egg in their face. They lose Paul Pogba twice on freeze. Now, do PSG have the 45-50 million, which is a cut price amount of money for Pogba, and pay his wages? Do they even have it after the money they spend? I'm not sure if they do. So I agree with what Mark said. And Mark said in many shows, Paul Pogba is going to stay until next May and ride out his contract. And then next season, he will go to whatever club puts the biggest financial bid on front of him. But that being said, then, on a cold winter's night in Wigan, so say an FA Cup game, is Paul Pogba going to burst run to get back to he's not. Is he say in April, we're 3 points behind City or Chelsea? Is Paul Pogba going to put a last-ditch tackle in April? The question is to be asked, guys.
That's a good job you said Wigan in the FA Cup there, because you're getting Wigan fans all excited there about playing them at some point there, mate.
Hence why I said January, because they might get to the third round.
Yeah. This is it. I mean, it's exactly that, isn't it? It's take it or leave it. And again, I go back to the point of like the new structure that's in place now. It's a massive summer for Manchester United and the way they go forward, and the Glazers. It's like everything that happened over the summer. Everything that happened over spring with the protests and everything like that, and the Glazers saying what they said and looking at this football club and trying to take this football club forward, winning trophies. Are they going to bow down to the first biggest issue, which is Paul Pogba again? And it looked like what Jay said then, a commercial signing. Can they afford to let Paul Pogba leave twice on a free transfer? For me, I think it has to happen this summer. He has to sign or he has to go this summer. It's as simple as that for me. There's no messing around. If United say to Paul Pogba, look, this is the contract, we're doing this, this is the way we're going forward. Pogba's come out himself and said, look, I can see a future at Manchester United. Well, if you can, then you sign the contract.
Yeah, exactly.
It's as simple as that.
Adam, let me just let answer this then. So you say that to me, and I get that. But I'm Paul Pogba, right? And I go, look, I can't sign a contract with you this summer because you're only giving me 400k a week. And in a year's time, somebody might give me 500k a week. But in a year's time, if we have a good season, I'll probably sign the contract with you. So let me stay for a year. And then I'll lose 50 million. And this is the problem, isn't it? I can understand Pogba's. I really can understand Pogba's fine.
I know you can, because added to that, Mark, aren't you getting a massive sell-on fee if you're on a free transfer? And Raiola's right in his ear. He's saying, look, let's just see. You don't have to go. You could have a great season.
Huge
you could have an absolutely amazing season for Manchester United right now. Everyone be happy. You walk away having won a trophy. We get the biggest deal of our lives. You finish your career on this last big deal. The big sign-on, massive fat check for me as well. And, that's talking. His brother's there, his agent's there. And then until he stands out on that Old Trafford pitch and hears the fans, I think that's why this season a lot of players have got away with a lot. I'm not just saying it's Paul Pogba, because they've not felt the wrath of the fans. None of these players have felt the wrath of the fans. Even Ollie hasn't felt it this season. I think they're all in for a big shock. Because, where we're all going to be really happy to come back and support the team again, there's going to be them days when the crowd are on their backs.
Yeah. Won't make any sense.
I just feel like I think a lot of them have lost what it's about. And I do feel like when they come back and something's not going right, they're going to realise, all right, okay, here we go. I mean, we've already seen the reaction of some of the PSG fans posting posters outside the Paris Stadium about what they think of Paul Pogba. But I just think when the fans come back, that's going to make a massive difference to a lot of players. Paul Pogba and his agent, I don't think as much. I do feel like they want to push this season out and get that big payoff. They're in the prime position, aren't they? They're just in a win-win situation right now. But
he holds all the cards, like
fans,
someone just said there.
Exactly. They do.
I mean,
they hold all the cards.
Let you know, this is the United stand. We don't sit on the fence. I personally do not think, and I'm sure I asked this a couple of weeks ago, but it's almost like you have to change every week anyway. It is a ridiculously horrible situation that we're all going to give our opinion on, and the chat now. You either try and force him out in the next 4 weeks and get 50 million if you can. You sit back and let Raiola and Pogba hold all the cards next season. If Pogba has a good season, people are going, well, if he has a good season and we have a good season, he'll sign a new contract. No, I mean, there'll be more clubs queuing up. Or do you put him in the reserves next season? You know, what would you do, Kev, as you sit here right now? Is it worth the risk? Do you try and get rid of him? Do you put him in the reserves? Do you just say, look, we're going to lose him for free in a year? Bye, Paul. Do your best. You know, what do you do? Do you try and offer him £500,000 a week?
Listen, if anything, I always say the mismanagement of Manchester United and the way they've gone about this kind of thing. Why have Manchester United let Paul Pogba get into this situation of this contract? Yeah. What you could say, you know, us as United fans have laughed at Arsenal in the past. You know, we're like, oh, they've let them get into the last year. You know, Arsenal lose everyone. And we all, as rival fans, laugh at them because they allowed that situation to happen. This is the exact same situation. You know, this is not a nothing footballer like a Phil Jones, who ironically gets offered a new 4-year contract for being injured and doing absolute fuck all for the last, you know, couple of years. Never done absolutely anything. Why is he being offered a new contract at Manchester United? Oh, it's because if anybody is interested in him in a year's time, they might be at a couple of £1 million. You're not getting anything for Phil Jones, man. You know, if somebody offered him, I don't know, in straight exchange for a can of Lil and a Mars bar, man, they're not getting it, man. They might get the can of Lil. Maybe the Mars bar was a bit too much, but you know, how am I?
I haven't seen a can of Lilt for 10 years. You're stuck in the early 90s again. Where are you getting these cans of Lilt from?
I am in a time warp here, I tell you.
You're doing it. You're going to be going back down to the marathon bars soon, mate.
I was going to say, get us a marathon. People are like, what are they on about? I bet they're still called opal fruits where you are.
No, but listen, I'm trying to put a different spin on it. We can all say it's Paul Pogba, it's the agent, it's this, that. I'm just saying, Manchester United, this is Manchester United's most expensive signing. Why have they not looked at this? And me, when he's 2 years into his contract, why are you not looking at this? And Jay's touched on a great point. Commercially, Paul Pogba is a big and a massive asset to Manchester United. The Adidas thing, all this, the links that they have. But you have to look at it and think, why have they got themselves into this situation and allowed that? And for me now, I look at it, I think Paul Pogba's not short of a bob or two. Do you know what I mean? He's not scratching around trying to find a few quid to pay his gas and electric or whatever. He's sound. Paul Pogba is sound. But at the same time, you're like, do you sign the contract? Do you do this? Do you do that? And the thing is now, Manchester United will look and what are they going to have to offer him? 450 grand a week. Now you have to look at this as a financial decision and go, well, if he goes on a free next season, you come back and all of a sudden, them wages that you could offer him over a 4 or 5 year deal, you've now got to go out and get a player to replace Paul Pogba. And how do you replace Paul Pogba? What's the transfer fee? You are talking 80 to 100 million. And that's the conundrum that Manchester United are now in big time.
I don't actually think there's a player out there in midfield worth that money right now either. That's what it is. I just don't think there's that type. I think it'll be a different type of player. Well, it will change tack completely, like I said. I don't think there's anyone like Pogba out there. But then again, can you get a player that suits the way Ollie wants to move forward with that Pogba money that makes the whole team work differently? That might be the way we go forward. It might be on a different style midfielder.
There's a question, guys, that I want to put out there. Sorry, Mark, my apologies.
All right.
Maybe the fact that the club are so shit scared of pissing off Raiola that I think the club next season, my read of it is they want Haaland next season to come in and replace Cavani. And right now, I think they're playing a politics game with Raiola. They're shit scared of pissing him off because they know for a fact, if they say, right, Paul, here's the contract, we're going to pay you 350, 4-year deal, sign it or you're rotting the reserves. It's just arbitrarily they say that, okay? And Paul Pogba ultimately, now the powers in the club's back, he's not going to not want to play for a year. So ultimately, with pressure on, he might actually sign. But they know if they play hardball next season, they want Haaland. There's no way in the world Raiola will let Haaland come to United. So I think United are playing the long game with Raiola. I think they're keeping sweet to sign Haaland, personally.
I've changed my mind, really. I'm terrified of seeing Scott McTominay and Fred in our midfield next year. So I don't know who it was who said it. I think it was Adam who said, I can't see Pogba being played in the front four anymore. So if he stays at the club, he's going to play in the midfield. And that means we're not going to have McFred. So personally, I would lose 50 million quid to stop McFred playing. I would pay 50 million quid to stop Scott McTominay and Fred playing in the midfield. So therefore, that means I would keep Pogba for a season. I know it probably goes against what I said at the start of the summer, but I just think for a year, I don't think we can sell him anyway. I mean, as I said, we're all going, let's sell him or put him in the reserves. He'll just probably say, we'll put him in the reserves then, see how that goes down with the press. You're going to get absolutely hammered when you're losing to Everton and I'm sat on the bench and Ollie pressure's on you. I think Pogba's got all the cards here, to be honest. And
I think the thing is, Mark, the thing you have to look at, this is no different to the situation that Manchester United have just took advantage in Rafael Varane.
Yeah, 100%.
Because, you offer him a new deal. If he decides, and fair play to Varane, I think he's played that really well. He's not been disrespectful to Real Madrid. He's come out and said, I want a new challenge. And fair play, he's been there 10 years or whatever. But the thing that gets me is Pogba gives, as Manchester United fans, we're not getting any kind of feedback as to, I'd seen my future here. I want to, the long-term thing. And that's the worrying thing because we all know what Raiola is. Sir Alex Ferguson called him a shitbag or whatever, which I'd probably go in a bit harsher than that. But, that's the kind of words that sums Raiola up. He's a money man. And we all know
Varane was very respectful, wasn't he? Varane was very he's shaking hands with Perez when he leaves. There is a way that you could do that. But I think, as we've all said, I don't think Pogba's a bad guy. I think he's a nice guy. But I think the problem is the agent. I don't think this would be respectful. I think this is about, if I wait till next year, I'm getting 25 million in my pocket as an agent. If I sign a new deal now, I'm not getting anything like that. If I take you to PSG now, I'm not getting anything like that. I'm going to make a shitload of money next summer. And, basically, Paul, I'm in your ear. Let's wait. And I think we all know that's probably what's going to happen. But look, we'll see what happens on Pogba. Going back to you, Adam, and we'll get everyone's thoughts on this. But obviously, we've not had you on this summer. Where are you, as we are less than 2 weeks out on the start of the season now, where are you sitting in relation to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Because it's been there were no fan cams last year, but I think if I remember back to times when there were fan cams, you were getting quite frustrated with Ole, but obviously that's over a year ago now. Where do you sit on Solskjaer? Big season ahead, Ole in, Ole out, Ole doubt, encompassing the last year and obviously the summer transfer window in the season ahead.
Well, from last season, I said what he did last season, finishing second, the only manager to get 2 consecutive top 4 finishes out of everyone since Fergie left. I said he doesn't deserve to be sacked. I didn't warrant the new contract. I didn't want that. I said there's no point because no one's going to be crying out or coming in, knocking on United's door for Ole Solskjaer and taking him away from United. That's why I said he deserves to see out his contract at least. And this season, that's it. You work from there. It's as simple as that. If anything didn't happen well last season, it could have all ended amicably and everything would have been okay, or he could have walked away and whatnot. He's got his contract and they've backed him this summer. So if you look at it, he's bought a whole new team. He's had a player in every single position. No other manager has had that since Sir Alex. He's averaging over 100 million spent on players every year that he's been here. So you go back through the back line. So you got Telles, Maguire, Varane, Wan-Bissaka. You've got Heaton and inherited Henderson. Midfielders, Donny, Bruno, forward line of Sancho, James, Ahmad, Cavani, you name it. He's had every single position. He's bought a lot, around about 400 million. This season, for me, I think he needs to be challenging for the title. He needs to be winning a trophy at least. That's where I'm at with Ole. I think he has done good things behind the scenes. It now needs to show on the pitch. We need to push to that next level because everyone's saying it's progress. And yeah, on paper, it's progress. But what are we going to say if we finish 3rd or 4th next season? Is that still progress? How much more is there? You know what I mean? Where do we draw the line and say, like, okay, that's enough? This season for me was the one season where it's like, right, it's the end of your contract. Fair enough. You've got to stabilise, which he has. Consistent top 4 finishes. But now we need that next level. We should have won a trophy last season. He needs to win a trophy this season. And he's had the money spent. He's this summer had the best in class in 2 positions bought. He's already come out and hinted that he can't really be asking for much more. I mean, if we had, I think Kev touched on it before, if we bought 2 top-class players every single summer, I don't think anyone would even be going on at the Glazers. The club right now is just recovering from 7 years of shit and horrible management of this football club. Ole has come in and he's steadied the ship, yes. But there is another level. And like we're saying, the money that we're spending on player wages, the 3rd highest in world football in terms of wage bill, and the amount of money that we're spending now, we at least need to see on the pitch some reward for that. And for Ole this season, I think this is the do or die season for me. Last season, fair enough. Again, it was hit and miss. But he got us in that 2nd position. It was a weird one last year, let's be honest, with the way it was. Like I said a minute ago, I don't think even Ole understands or realises what it's going to be like when the fans come back because they're not all on his side. We know this. And if it starts to go wrong at some point this season, he's going to feel the pressure even more. And I think with what he's got squad-wise right now, I don't think there's any excuse not to be challenging. There really isn't. Yeah, that central midfielder is key, but for me personally with Ole, this is the season where he needs to show me that he can compete because he's got a 3-year contract. He's at Manchester United. We need to be winning trophies now. It's going in past 3.5 years when this season finishes with Ole. So I do think he has to put something on the table this season. He really does because he's got talent all over this squad. And I think if another manager came in, they would probably get more out of them. But that manager isn't out there right now. That manager is Ole Solskjaer at Manchester United. He has to realise what he's got. And he needs to prove himself this season for me. It's a massive season. Absolutely huge season for him. So I'm okay with him having this season. I said that last season. I just didn't want him getting a new deal. I didn't want United jumping in on the new deal straight away because if we have to sack him, do you know what I mean? It makes us all go, oh, God, there's another 8 million that's taken out the transfer coffers that we could be spending on players that we've had to give out for another manager just to start to buy him out. So for me, I'm glad they're backing him. I'm glad he's had money spent this season. But that also means that there's no more excuses for him. He's bought a player in every single position. He's bought a new team. And you can't really ask for much more in terms of backing right now, I don't think.
No. And I think that, just going to you, Jay, I mean, probably a man after your own heart there, Adam. I mean, you've spoken about that yourself, that with Ollie, it would be, I mean, I go into this season feeling positive. I think, as Adam's touched on twice, and I think Kev mentioned it as well, the fans back in the ground is going to be really huge because it's, there are going to be people who moan, oh, I've been Old Trafford plenty of times. We all have. It's not this theatre of happiness. Like, I've seen Giggs be booed every week because he holds on to the ball, and people won't accept that. But it did used to happen. That, social media, once a red, always a red, top Reds singing when you win, lose, or draw. Bullshit. Have you ever been to Old Trafford? It's not like that. Even under Sir Alex, it's not like that. If you miss pace of Plash, you get a load of shit. If Ollie doesn't make subs on the 70th minute and we're drawing, they'll give him a load of shit. So he's got to be aware of that. But, you've said that yourself, Jay, that the problem is if we do finish third again this year and the football's not great again, they probably wouldn't sack him because he's still got top four and he still is that buffer that protects the Glazers because it's Ollie the legend?
Yeah, I sat on fan forums with Kevin for about 7 months, and some of the other panelists were clearly, I call them Ollie apologists. And that's fine, that's fine. But I sat through every game and I made notes, picking holes in the mistakes that he's made in team selection, formation, lack of subs, and in-game management. And it became a recurring theme all season long. And Kevin, you sit down with me. Sometimes I went on a mad rant, and you're probably sick listening to me. But it became a very recurring theme. And I think Adam summed up very, very well. And it got me thinking as Adam was talking. I would equate the current team that Solskjaer has. He's had a new team. But the way it is now, I'd equate it to like a professional level racing bike. He's got the $5,000 worth of carbon fiber frame. He's got the fantastic Durace handle. He's got Durace gears, brakes, the whole lot. He's been given 2 carbon fiber wheels in Sancho and Varane. So the bike's going to run very well. The only problem is he's got a shitty pair of handlebars in McFred, cheap, shitty alloy. But irrespective of having the cheap, shitty alloy handlebars, there's enough parts on that bike that are top class that the rider can go and win a race. And Solskjaer this season, top 4 is not good enough. He's got to be, for me, within 6 points of whoever's leading the Premiership. Say City arbitrarily, come April, he's got to be within 6 points of City for that to be even deemed a successful season. And like, we're all watching football now, probably 30 years or more each. And the standards, no question, since
and the rest, bloody hell.
And the rest, yeah.
And the rest.
So,
I was thinking 30 each. Oh no, 30 each. Yeah. I thought you said combined. Yeah. I was like, bloody hell.
No, 30 each. Sorry, so you think of it, right, guys?
And the rest still, really, actually, you're right.
Yeah, so so there's 90 years of football watching plus interest between the 4 of us here, right? So you will all see that since Ferguson left, standards have been lowered by the club, and definitely it's been accepted by the fan base. But us old school guys never accepted the standards been lowered. And you were at the very point there, Mark. You said that Solskjaer is the perfect buffer between the club, the Glazers, and the fan base. Because a club legend, nobody will go after a club legend. And okay, there are some toxic fans that have, but for the most part, he's getting the support of everybody. So for me, come the Leeds game, he's starting off with a blank slate. I'm prepared to park all the mistakes he made last season. It's a new season, blank slate. But I will be the first to go on a fan forum with the rest of you and slate bad team selection, in-game management, or tactics. If he keeps messing up on this bike, in spite of having shitty handlebars in McFred, well then, come next May, should he still be the manager of the club? I think not.
Jay, can I just ask, this bike, has it got a card that goes through the spokes and makes it sound like a helicopter?
Fuck no.
Has it got spokey dokies?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, God. We're going back to the last days here, man.
You know what I mean? The bike where you used to put the card in your things and it'd go around, it gets like, makes it sound like a helicopter.
You're now showing your age, mate.
I was out. My bike was called Airwolf. Kev, okay. We're talking about Leeds game. We're going to go, I'm looking forward to this because we're going to go around and argue positions on who should start against Leeds. But Ricky actually messaged me about this, Kevin. You get the opportunity to answer it. He said he's worried that, we saw Arsenal, Chelsea today, a lot of first team players, not all of them because they're not all back yet. If you think about what United's first team is going to be for Leeds, and we're going to go through what we think it should be, I'd say nearly every one of them, bar maybe a Wan-Bissaka and a Greenwood, haven't played a minute of pre-season football, and we are less than 2 weeks away. Are you happy with the pre-season? I mean, look, some of it was inflicted, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw and everyone like that. But, that Preston game got cancelled. We've not rescheduled one midweek. We're going to have Everton and that's it. Community Shield is played on the same day that we play Everton, which will be the first game for people like Bruno, even though he's been training for about a week and, Van der Beek's been 2 weeks. Are you worried about the lack of a pre-season for a lot of our players, or do you think it won't matter?
Not really, man. And you look from Ricky's point of view, he's probably getting quite excited. He's probably thinking this is like some inkling into Solskjaer's tactics for the new season, that Matic, Dan James, Mata are all going to be in the team, which we know it's not going to be. And do you know what I will say, Mark, as well, before this pre-season? I know COVID's hit us and all that, but the one thing that annoys me, and I am not depriving people of other countries, the likes of Australia, America, where Manchester United usually go on these ridiculous tours. And let's get it out there, man. They are ridiculous. They take a lot out of these players. The traveling they do is ridiculous. And it's all purely to do with sponsors, money, you know, the cash cow that Manchester United is. That's why they're sent out there. But this year, I'm thinking this will be totally different. And it'd be great because, you know, they can't do the traveling thing that they're doing. You know, some teams are going to Ireland, they're going to Wales, Scotland. You know, they're keeping it all. There's not much mileage going in. And I'm thinking this could be a really good pre-season. But at the same time, listen, Ricky does have a little bit of a point where you look and think, well, not much of our first team at the minute. Yes, we've just had a Euros. What you want to do this season, man, is hit the ground running. We say it every year. Any Manchester United fan will say we want to hit the ground running. At the minute, we need to integrate. Well, Varane's not over the line yet. Should be done. Sancho has to get to, you know, into the mix as well. Martial coming back from injury. There's loads of question marks. What I would have liked to have seen, and where I see Ricky's point, is the fact that these players haven't actually played in a starting 11 yet. So it is a little bit of a worry. But at the same time, hell of a lot of other teams in the Premier League are going to be going through the exact same thing. So we just have to see how it goes, don't we?
I suppose the interesting thing is that probably not Leeds. I suppose Leeds might be picking their team already that's going to play against United. And as we saw last season, a no pre-season can make a big difference. Palace played us off the park. We were very lucky against Brighton, and Spurs smashed us. And, you know, 3 points from 9 with the start we've got. We've really, I think we could win the first 8 if we were actually on it. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, let's go through. And feel free to bump in here, lads, because we're not going to do each individual 11. We'll have to argue it out. Let's imagine we're going to play a 4-3-3 and whatever guys it's going to be. Who do you start off with in goal, Adam?
I'm a Henderson man. I just am. I'm a centre back, so I look at my goalkeeper as someone I can rely on behind me and talk to me and command his box. It's just what I like. I don't think keepers. Game is all about making spectacular saves. I don't think they should be able. I shouldn't have the opportunity to. If they organise the defence enough, then that's the main part of a goalkeeper's game for me. So I just feel like Henderson. I feel he deserves a chance. He deserves a shout in the team and a run with 2 quality centre backs in front of him. That's where I would go with it personally. But I'll be honest. I think we've spoilt in goalkeeper. Any one of them started, I probably wouldn't have an issue, to be fair. I really wouldn't, because they're all, I mean, even Heaton. I mean, I was there the other night, and man, the guy's loud. He is in, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he started either. I really wouldn't.
I knew there was a reason we shouldn't have brought Adam back. He's a Henderson fan. For me, it's De Gea. Jay?
For me, Henderson's mouth writes checks his body can't cash. Henderson thinks he's a lot better than he actually is, and he buys into his own hype. He's done nothing last season to wrest number 1 jersey away from David De Gea. David De Gea single-handedly kept us in that game against Roma. So for me, David De Gea, based on what he's done for the club in the past, he's had 1 poor season. I felt, was it 2018 when he had the bad run of games, Solskjaer had a chance to bring in Romero for him. He didn't do it. Henderson hasn't done enough to take jersey off him, Adam, in my opinion. So I would start De Gea. Personally,
I know you're a De Gea man, Kev. Not going to change, are you?
I'll just do it with a song. Everywhere you go, you always take De Gea with
I remember, Kev, it's not all about the singing in the crowd either every week.
So right back, Kev, you get to start on the right back. I mean, look, pretend we will get Trippier at some point. So pretend we get him in for the Leeds game. Do you go Trippier or Wan-Bissaka? Which one are you going to go with?
Oh. Well, I'll just go off the fact that we've not got him at this minute in time. Wan-Bissaka picks himself for me.
Jay?
I think you've got to start Wan-Bissaka. Say hypothetically speaking, Trippier comes in 2 weeks' time or at the back end of the window. and he's automatically replaces Aaron Wan-Bissaka, that's going to absolutely ruin Wan-Bissaka's confidence. Wan-Bissaka, going forward, he has improved. And last season, he didn't know from week to week who was going to be his partner on the right-hand side. So if he can start to build a synergy with Sancho, I would definitely start Wan-Bissaka. For me, the right back position, it's his to lose. So I start with him.
Adam?
Wan-Bissaka had more assists than Paul Pogba last season, by the way. So,
boom.
You know what I mean? He had a better game. He looked shaky as hell. Anyone who was shouting that one about him going into centre-back is just suicidal. Absolutely brain dead putting Wan-Bissaka at centre-back. He's a right back. He's the best one-on-one defender in the country. We know his flaws. He switches off. He gets he plays players on side a lot. He can get that. That can be taught and trained into him. He's getting better going forward. Like I said, his assists were up last season. So for me, it's just about that link, innit? If we do get a Trippier in, maybe you would link better with the Sancho down the right, or Greenwood, whoever's down the right there. But right now, I think Wan-Bissaka holds that place for me. And against the counter-attacking Leeds team, it's always good to have a decent one-on-one defender in your ranks. So yeah, I'll go with Aaron on that.
Yeah, I agree. I've said it before. I just think that Wan-Bissaka reminds me of Shaw maybe a couple of years ago. And I said that Luke Shaw was a very good player. And I think Wan-Bissaka is a very good player. And I think if we stick with him, he'll become a better player. So for me, Wan-Bissaka, I take it no one's going to argue if I say it's Varane, Maguire and Shaw across the rest of the back four. No one's shouting Phil Jones.
Say that.
I was going to go Phil Jones and Victor. But anyway, this is me.
Yeah, well, I know you're not going to go with Lindelof.
Lay off the red wine, Jay.
Yeah, it's okay. So okay, so we've got that sorted, the back four. Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire and Varane, pending fitness and injury, of course. Which takes us into the midfield. Now, whether we play a holding midfielder and a box-to-box, who are you going to play as your midfield two? We'll go back to you, Adam.
If we're playing two, oh, God.
Because I don't think we're going to get a new signing in for that, whether we get one or not. I can't see them being in for
we're going to have to... I think...
do with what we've got.
Yeah, I'm hoping we may see some game time for a few players against Everton just to shake off the cobwebs. I really do. And then possibly...
Well, actually, say your midfield three. Say your midfield three. So you include in Bruno as well, I suppose, if you want to.
So if I go 4-3-3, I'm going to go... I'm thinking everyone's back, so everyone's on the same level. I'm just going to go... I'm going to go all out. I'm going to go Donny, Pogba and Bruno in the three. Donny sitting. I've got Varane there now. I've got passes of the ball all around the middle of the park. That's where I'm going. If we're going to start changing things up or going for a new edge, then you might as well start in the first game of the season. And for me, I just want a player who can take the ball on the edge of the box, not Fred, like he proved many a times last season, Leicester, Roma, giving the ball away, conceding goals. I know Donny can take it and he can pass it. It'd either be Donny or Matic in that for the opening game, because I know Matic is fit. And that's one thing Matic does do. He doesn't panic under pressure. I've seen that guy take City's front line on in his own box in the Etihad before under pressure and not panic on the ball. So, yeah.
It's interesting with Matic because he actually has had a pre-season. So you might get away with him for a couple of games until you bring the midfielder in.
I think, you know what? I'm going to switch it to Matic, actually, just to be on that safe side of someone actually being match fit, and in front of Varane and Maguire, who haven't played anything. I think that probably works well, actually. I think that's more sensible. Not Fred, not McTominay in this one. Yeah, if it's 4-3-3, that's my three.
Jay, what would you go for as a midfield three?
If it was me, and if I'd seen a bit more of Donny apart from his 10-minute cameo against Brentford, like Donny van de Beek has put on, I reckon, about 5 kilos of muscle mass. He looks a bigger, stronger player. I know it was only 15 minutes, so it's hard to judge what he was covering the ground with that added muscle mass. But I take Adam's point and your point, Mark, that Matic, you will get a couple of games from at the start of the season. He won't panic under pressure. If it was me, I'd like to throw out the rule book and start Donny on front of McGann. But Solskjaer, he won't start Donny. I'd be shocked if he does. I think he'll go with Matic, knowing that he's got a bit of preseason under him and he's relatively fit right now. And then I would love to see Pogba and Bruno heading that 3. That would be, I think, that's a title-winning 3 if it happens.
Kev, any advance on that?
I was going to say, if we're going into looking ahead to that Leeds game, I would think on current form, whatever, Matic, Pogba, and Fernandes, can't leave them out.
I think he will play McTominay, Pogba, and Bruno. I'd put money on that, unfortunately. My only worry with Matic is I've got to be consistent. If it was Matic a year and a half ago, 100%, I'd just worry about Matic, about his speed against a lead side that's very, very quick. If he can do it, and I don't know, if Matic can do it, I would agree with you. If Matic can't do it, I've got to choose McTominay or Fred. I don't know whether I trust Donny to do that. If he can do it, I'd go Donny, and if he can't do it, I'd go Fred over McTominay. So I'd probably go Fred, Pogba, and Bruno. Let's go back to you, Kev, for your front 3. We know we've got no Rashford on the left, so you've got to pick a front 3, striker, 2 wide players.
Well, obviously Sancho right, Eddie Cavani up front on his own, and on the left, God, that's a tough one, I'd say. I mean, if Martial's back,
which he is back training. He's to be fair,
right.
I mean, he's had as much pre-season as anyone, really. He has been training a couple of weeks.
That would be mine then. Martial left, Sancho right, and Eddie Cavani picks himself up front. No danger.
Jay, would you go with that? Martial, Cavani, Sancho, or any changes on that?
Look. Mjomber Cavani picks himself. No question about it. Sancho will make his debut. But I think Solskjaer would probably start Dan James on the left. I think he will. Personally,
Are we booing already?
Yeah, I wouldn't start him.
Yay!
Yeah, but I personally, I'd never start Dan James. I sell Dan James tomorrow morning, absolutely. But Solskjaer would probably start Dan James on the left. I would actually give a punt on Alanga on the left. I'd breed him in. I'd punt in. I'd triple in the left. See what he can do.
Curveball,
I tell you what, if he starts the new season and he's got, I don't care whether Sancho and Varane are in the team. If he starts the season with Matic holding the midfield and Dan James on the left, fucking hell, I would never have predicted that. Adam, what would your front 3 be?
Yeah, give it Eddie, definitely down the middle. I'm going Sancho on the left and Greenwood on the right. Greenwood's been our best forward all the end of last season. He's looked after the ball well. He doesn't get the credit he deserves because everyone's looking at the goals. For me, Greenwood starts on the right-hand side. Sancho can play on the left, play him on the left. Marcus Rashford has to fight for his spot back in the team. This is Man United at the end of the day. We've got one of the best forward lines going. If you're not hitting it off, you don't play. And Ali needs to take that into the next season. There's no room for favouritism this season. If one player is playing better than the other, that guy stays in the team, Ollie. It's as simple as that for me. And Greenwood has been one of our most consistent forwards. He was our best forward in the final, and he brought him off. For me, has to start. I think he had his break towards the end. He didn't go away with England. He's played all pre-season. I think he's a shoe on me. I think he's the one. And we all seen the rapport he's got with Eddie, and he took him under his wing. I think that's perfect. And we've got, as he said, I'm happy for Alanga to come in. I really am. I've been impressed with him in pre-season. He's got to finish. He likes to miss a couple, but he's like the United type player. He's never afraid to miss. He's not afraid to shoot. So me, still Greenwood, Sancho, Cavani. That's my front 3.
It's interesting because I'd already, even before you'd said that was my front 3. I was going to say, let's put Sancho on the left. I think he'd work well with Luke Shaw overlapping. I think Luke Shaw needs somebody.
Combo.
Yeah, because Sancho's an intelligent player. He's a 5-yard passer. He's a give and go, and I think Luke Shaw needs an overlapper. So I mean, it's all right saying Sancho and Wan-Bissaka, but they're going to have to learn. What's most important is that we keep that Luke Shaw overlap, and to do that, you need somebody who's going to understand it. Now, Martial could come and do that. He's done it before, but I think actually, let's put Sancho on the left. Let's put Greenwood on the right. One thing that's not been mentioned is that, you know, maybe Dan James can start. There's one other issue in the room, and that's Jesse Lingard. I wouldn't be surprised if he finds a place for him to start as well, which is why I wish we'd get rid of a bit of the deadwood. But Greenwood's had a pre-season, hasn't he? So
yeah, Lingard has. But one thing I noticed at the game the other day, I mean, Lingard wasn't in the game as much until he moved central, and that's where he was with West Ham. When he starts drifting out, and Ellie talking about using him out wide, he's just nothing for us because he cuts inside every time. He doesn't offer us enough out wide. He has to play in the middle if he's going to play, and he's just not going to get in that team in the middle. He's not going to get ahead of a Bruno if he plays his 4-2-3-1. 4-3-3, I don't see how he gets in at all. So there's another conundrum. There's another issue that's got to be sorted because we haven't sold one player yet this summer, have we? So there's a lot of work to do before that transfer window shuts. But Lingard, yeah, he's looked sharp. He's done good, but only in the middle for me. And I don't see how he gets in our team.
Well, next week, we'll be talking about where we predict we're going to be finishing in the season because, excitingly, we're only less than 2 weeks away from that game against Leeds, and we'll have had the Everton game. So thankfully, we're starting to move a little bit away from transfers and more to the stuff we want to talk about on a Sunday night, which is actually how we're going to play and what we're going to do. And that's what's all about to start happening over the next few weeks, which is really exciting. Thanks, everyone. We've actually stayed steady at the numbers watching. Normally it hits 9 o'clock and it drops by 1,000 for Love Island. So that's good to know that you're getting your priorities right on a Sunday night. But look, thanks everyone for popping on. Kev, appreciate it. In Old Trafford, I can't believe it's not dark there, but Manchester weather, I suppose.
No, it still stays bright this time of night, mate, in Manchester. But I'm actually laughing at the fact that you're saying that everybody's rushing to watch Love Island when really you are, aren't you?
I've got record. Yeah. Best thing you can do, don't turn it on till 1:15 because then you can fast forward through the ads anyway. Just don't go on social media. People ruin it for you. Great to have you back on, Adam. Appreciate the vlog this week and hope you've enjoyed it being back.
Yeah, it's been good being back. Been good talking football and nothing else. That's what it's all about, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. And Jay, actually, you've been off for a while. Nice to have you back. Although you're on the Insta today, weren't you?
Pleasure. Yeah, Insta Live. I think we're going to do maybe 3 a week and give the fans a chance to interact and show their faces and give their opinions on a live forum on Instagram.
I can't remember what our Insta is. Is it at the United Stand TV? Something like that?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
There you go.
You don't even live
tomorrow again
what the United
at 12:30.
Instagram is, Mark.
I don't. Funnily enough, when the United Stand tweet, I don't do it. I love it. I get all the shit for it. And it's like, ow, United Stand Twitter just said this. I don't think I've been on United Stand Twitter for about 3 years. So, you know, I don't tweet it. It's not me. I've got my own account to talk shit. I don't need to use United Stand for it. But no, look, really enjoyed the show. Thanks everyone in the chat. And we're on the countdown now. And let's hope. I'm still hopeful that we might rearrange the Preston game midweek. I don't know why we can't get another bloody game in. They'll probably have a couple behind closed doors, I presume, but we definitely need to get some game time into these lads, I think.
Definitely.
But look, anyway, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll speak to you soon.